Broadway Lafayette, you take the A train. Get on train, it takes you home, the train.
Hello and welcome in for another episode of Reality Check here on the channel. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary. I am joined by my good friend Jeremy, aka Jets Chaos. Jeremy, how's it going this afternoon?
Recovering, Matt, recovering. But hey, woke up to some not surprising news, but a little bit. Somebody on Twitter said it just the only way you can say it. 2 weeks too late, but 2 weeks too late.
Yeah, that's where we're going to start this one. Obviously, both Jeremy and I were at the game on Sunday. We got to see some touchdowns in person. That much was fun. I'm sure, we'll get into some of the other stuff from this game. But I feel like we have to start with the news of the day, which is the Jets moving on from Xavier Gipson, right? Like this was something we talked about when the initial 53-man roster came out. We were both surprised that Xavier Gipson made the team. And it took all but one game for us to start questioning that decision, and the Jets quickly pulled the plug, Jeremy.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to take a bright side of it, at least, it feels like the old regime that was just here would not have done that. Like and at least, yes, he made the mistake of keeping him on the roster. I don't know why. Like, insisted. He hasn't, and I believe it. All training camp, he never dropped the never fumbled the ball, never dropped the punt. Coaching. They believed in him. But sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about in game time situation. He choked. Like he just chokes. And I think that Aaron Glenn realized it. And just was like, okay, doesn't matter what he does in practice. This is a history, since that game, that return in Buffalo, everything after that has just been not good enough to be on an NFL roster, in my opinion.
No, I'm 100% in agreement with you. And it was a talking point, like I said, that we had a couple weeks ago. And, I think it was Buffalo Jet fan who was the one who pointed this out, where I saw it on Twitter. He's been in the league now. This is his third year. So he's played 35 total games in the NFL. He has 11 fumbles in 35 games. That is not anywhere close to sure-handed enough to return kicks or punts. And it wasn't just the fumble at the end too, which obviously was the costly one. But I don't know if you went back and watched, he actually fumbled on his good return and McCurry Ball had to jump on it. So really he had 2 fumbles in this game.
Yeah. I mean, the guy just can't hold on to the ball. He just doesn't. And it was just so painful. I mean, we were so angry when it happened. Remember how just mad we were? We were just like, and it was just so, it was like, you're not surprised because that's what he does. But you just, again, it's one of those things like, I can't believe this is really happening. Because we said it, and sometimes you say it, but you don't really believe it. Like, when he made the roster, we're going to, we said it. We said, he's going to screw us. It's going to happen. We all know it's coming because we've seen it for 2 years. And then game one in that situation, boom, there it is. And it's just incredible. Just unbelievable that, unfortunately, I mean, in some ways, some players, it's a good thing. You get new coaches, right? And the coaches come in and players get a fresh look. They get a fresh opportunity. And then sometimes that's a good thing. Because you start, you discover things about someone the other regime didn't discover. And sometimes it's a bad thing. And this was a bad thing. This guy, they needed to watch the tape and just, any of us could have told him, I mean, you're obviously new here, Coach AG. This is not the player you want returning punts or kickoffs for that matter, especially. But I mean, we talked about it even before the game, right? On this show, we've talked about how me and Green Bean during our live reactions have screamed, just let the ball go. Don't put anybody back there. Like, we actually last year were yelling that to not have anyone back there. Just let them punt the ball and let it roll. And that would be better than Xavier Gipson, because even the times where he didn't punt it, you're talking about those 11 fumbles. Like, so even the times where he didn't fumble it, there were many bobbles. There were many times where it was like our hearts came out of our chests. And he just, I mean, well, they did the right thing. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I love this comment from Sal, who chimes in and says, I never root for anyone to lose their job, but he should not have made the roster. And it's nothing against Xavier Gipson, the person. Obviously, he seems like a good dude. He hasn't done anything off the field to make you feel like, you don't like the guy. But unfortunately, he's living off of a play that happened over 2 years ago, Jeremy, against the Buffalo Bills in that primetime game, week 1. That'll be 2 years ago tomorrow. In fact, that would be the anniversary of it. So, it's not like this is an overreaction and this was the first and only time it's happened. As I said, he's played 35 games in the NFL. If that's not a big enough sample size, I don't know what is. But to this regime's credit, I like that they were quick to pull the plug on it and not double and triple down on it and go, he's just got to work it out. No, like, this isn't acceptable. And Aaron Glenn said so himself after the game, saying, if you cost us games, you're not going to play. And, a day and a half later, Xavier Gipson's no longer on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the part, I know some people will be bitter and say, no, why was he on the, okay. They made the mistake. They put him on the roster. Now we move on to the next part of this equation, right? And the next part of this equation is the admission, right? Like we cut him, like, not being stubborn. How many times have we seen the coaching staff, and the GM or whatever be stubborn and not give up on a guy and hold on way too long? They coached their first game, the head coach, GM, first game, guy drops the ball. They know the history. Didn't live up to training camp where he didn't drop the ball. And right away, the realization was, we need to let go of this, like, and not hold on to this. And that's refreshing, that's refreshing, because it's been a long time. It feels we've had to live with stubbornness for a long time. And I think that's the most, would have been the most frustrating thing if nothing happened, and Sunday comes and this guy's like back there, ready to field, return the punt. That would have been just, that would have been very aggravating.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, it absolutely would have been. I was pulling up Isaiah Williams. It was added to the active roster. He was in Cincinnati last year. He had 5 kickoff returns for 169 yards, averaged 33.8 yards per attempt on the return. His long was 43. It doesn't look like he has any muffs. He also returned 11 punts, 93 yards. Honestly, like, on the punts especially, and maybe this is a bit of a boomer take from me, but I would rather someone who's just sure-handed, like Jim Leonard when he was back there. Like, you knew he was catching the ball. I know he was never giving you an explosive play, but he wasn't giving it right back to the defense.
It starts with good hands, and then anything they could do is bonus. I think everybody would agree with that, right? I mean, with punt returner, you don't want guy, not very reliable, drops a lot of balls, but man, when he catches the ball, he could take off for a touchdown. I think everybody agrees. Like, when the first thing is ball security, doesn't fumble, doesn't turn the ball over. And then you take that category of people. Who do we have that provides that? Now, who's the best at explosiveness that gives us a chance to make something out of the play, right? That's the order of things. And I agree 100%. We've had good punt returners, or we've had punt returners that were reliable. And that's what I think we've all had enough of this, and we're all ready to just have a reliable punt returner and then hope for the best. Like, maybe they can make big plays. Hope they have that skill as well.
Yeah, Ryan's a party. He's a member of the channel. Chimes in and says Arian Smith and the guy they signed today, who is Isaiah Williams, will be the returners. Unfortunately, and I didn't notice this, at the time. I only noticed it like going back and reading everything that happened during the game. But unfortunately, Kane Nwanu got hurt in week 1. And this seems like an unfortunate trend. He only played in 1 game last year and got hurt. And then this year it's a hamstring, TBD on if he'll be good to go on Sunday. But I love the guy, but he can't stay on the field. And the Jets obviously needed to add someone else to give themselves some insurance, man, because they could not just keep running it back with Xavier Gipson.
Yeah, I mean, there was no option. And Pritchett's on the practice squad too. And a lot of people like Pritchett during camp. And if they just brought this kid in and this kid's going to come in and do it, then, I mean, they kept Pritchett on the practice squad, but obviously, so they believe in him somewhat, but obviously that means that they don't believe he's NFL ready.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And who knows? Maybe that's a card that they play at some point during the season, right? Like we're only going into week 2 here against the Buffalo Bills. So again, we'll see if they potentially add Pritchett to the active roster. I'd be very surprised if it happened this week, but that doesn't mean that at some point this year it won't be something that they'll need to adjust. And Mr. Roberts kind of echoing what I was saying. You just need a guy who has good hands. That's half the battle, man. It scares me. And I never really felt comfortable with Xavier Gipson back there returning punts. And neither did you. Like you said it yourself, you'd rather him just let the ball go at points. And obviously that's going to hurt your field position.
Yeah. I mean, but we were at a point last year and obviously it was, we knew it wasn't going to happen and they weren't going to do it. We were just making the point that it was the better thing. Like it would have worked out better, like to just take bad field position than muff punts and turn the ball over. I mean, it was just an emotional response. It was like you're watching this ball sail through the air towards this guy and you know that you can't trust him. You just know, like, I mean, what was it? By the numbers you're saying, it feels like it's almost like in 1/3 of his games, he was had at least one fumble. That's just, there's just no way. There's no way. It's amazing that he still had a job and he made the 53. Incredible when you think of that statistic. 2 years, and in all the games that you play, you as a punt returner, you fumble, and 1 out of every 3 games, 30% of the games you fumble or you muff a punt. How are you still working? I can't even comprehend it.
Ricky chimes in and says Isaiah Davis can do it. They did have him back on returns last year. I didn't notice him getting any run yesterday, though, or on this week, excuse me, because after the injury, Arian Smith was actually back there, and he did return 1 and was fine with it. But Isaiah Davis, it seems like they're using him as their third down back. We saw a couple times him, come in on third downs, and ideally, your third running back on your roster, you want them to do things like return punts or return kicks. I think of, Leon Washington for former Jets who are really good at that. But this could potentially be a good way for Isaiah Davis to get on the field.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he wasn't going to get reps the way Breece Hall played, right? That was obviously like Bill and Allen didn't even get as many reps as people expected because right from the start, Breece just said, it's my job, the way he ran. And it was just, when you're in a close game like that, none of the fans were going to tolerate, we're going to do a committee when Breece Hall was running like that. It was like basically, every once in a while after a few plays or a big run, you'd see him take the breather and Allen would come out and then, and then Breece would come back in. And I don't think anybody argued it the way he was playing.
It's funny, Ryan Zapardi chimes back in and says, I still wish we kept Brandon Codrington last year to the B returner instead of trading him to Buffalo. And that's who the Jets will see this week, right? Obviously playing the Buffalo Bills and someone they were comfortable trading because he wasn't going to make their 53-man roster is returning kicks and, to my knowledge, not having nearly as much issues as what we've seen Xavier Gipson have over the last couple.
But those wounds will be the JD wounds, not this, not Moogs and not AG. They're not the guy. They're not the ones who did that. But I mean, for us as fans, it would suck if he does a great job and we're like, a lot of this fan base really liked Brandon and wanted him on the 53 last year for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that it wasn't an Aaron Glenn decision because obviously this happened before Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji got here. I think it's just the irony of this happening in week 1 that Xavier Gipson has this huge, massive mistake. And either them playing Buffalo in week 2 with the guy that they decided to keep over Brandon Cotterington a year ago. And, the Jets already move on, but I don't think, we spent some time on Xavier Gipson, but I don't think it was only Xavier Gipson as the reason why the Jets lost this game against Buffalo. What were some of the things that stood out to you? We'll start on the negative side because there are a lot of positives that we can get to also, but in addition to the Xavier Gipson fumble, what stood out for you?
Uh, the defense, I think we were beat. It's, I understand that the other team is going to make big plays and it happens. I understand that's part of football. It felt to me from the stands, from what I could see, that we were beaten by the same play repeatedly. It felt like it was a very similar route, right? The guy was like from where we were sitting, the guy was running away from us. He cut in field. He's lining up on the left, cuts across the field away from us, and he's just wide open in the zone. So, and it felt like, man, it feels like there were a lot of big plays where it was just them just finding a big, wide open gap in the hole. And what's frustrating is where was the adjustment to that? Where, why wasn't there an adjustment? Because it felt like I remember turning to you. Matt was sitting behind me. Like the third time it happened, I said, that's the third time. Like that's the third time we watched a guy run into no coverage. And they were big plays. Those were the big 30, the big plays that would move them from like their 40 to our 30. That was like the significant plays of the game. So frustrating. And then that's how they scored that last touchdown, right? It was going to that corner of the end zone, same kind of thing. But I think that one was on Stevens, right? That wasn't zone. That was on Stevens, that last touchdown in the end zone.
I'm trying to remember. 2 of them, he was credited for 2 touchdowns against. I don't remember the exact order of which came.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was at the end there, that like when they went to that corner.
Yeah, and like Mahir Khalil is saying, broken coverage. There was a lot of it. I think, they referenced, or Aaron Glenn referenced earlier this week, zone being an issue. And the speaking of irony with Xavier Gipson and the fans being concerned about him making their team and returning kicks, it's funny in a way that 2 other players we talked a lot about this offseason, Tony Adams and the Brandon Stevens signing, and those 2 immediately are standout guys. One, because Tony Adams struggled to tackle, which has been a problem for him for 2 years, and then Brandon Stevens in his debut with the Jets falls down on what could have been a game-sealing interception and drops the ball, and had some issues in coverage. He was close on some, but wasn't able to get his head around and make plays on the ball, and ended up allowing 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, how long are we going to give Tony Adams, right? The development project of Robert Saleh, and he's still here, and it's still just not happening. It's not a difficult position to find good players. It really isn't. Every position is difficult. I'm saying comparatively, safety is not supposed to be this difficult. It's not supposed to be so hard to find competent safeties. It really isn't. It's hard to find a good edge. It's hard to find cornerbacks that are right in this league. It's hard to find left tackles. It's impossible nearly to find quarterback, right? Like those are the positions that you name that are real. If you don't have, it's really difficult to find. It's not supposed to be safety year after year. You're not supposed to be complaining about your safeties for 4 years in a row. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's wild that it still looks like it could be an issue for the New York Jets in 2025. And there was a lot of calling for AZ Thomas and Malachi Moore. And look, I would absolutely love to see both of those guys get playing time at some point this year. Unlike Gipson, they were quick to pull the plug on Gipson. I don't think we're going to see any sort of changes this week on either of those 2 guys. Do you?
No. I see people in the chat, and I think it's all popping in our head that we have this rookie that we, even though he was later in the draft, we did trade up to get him. So there was and we saw some really, there you go, start more. We saw some good things from him. We also saw some tackling issues from him. He had some tackling issues in one of the preseason games. He did. So that, we got to be honest about that. But he also did some really good things in that final game, like where he looked really, really good. At this point, the argument starts to come in as, how much worse could he be? That's kind of becomes the discussion. Like, maybe there's some upside that he's going to be better. Why not start getting him reps now? Because the worst case scenario for him is what? That he plays like Adams did. Like, it's not going to get much worse, I don't think. He played well enough, and even in the preseason, it showed enough for me to believe he's not going to be worse than what we saw on Sunday.
No, that's the thing, right? Like, you wonder, well, the inexperience is there with both those guys, but can it be worse? And something Aaron Glenn did, in my opinion, it seemed like he went to the defense of Brandon Stevens after week 1. But one of the things he mentioned was he's just got to get better at turning his head around. It's like, well, he's going to be 28 years old soon. Like, this might just be who he is. I understand there was only one game with you as the coach, but it's rare to see the late bloom from a corner to that level.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sick of the whole converting things or whatever. It's like, anyway, like, as a solution.
Okay.
No, only because it's like, you shouldn't have to. There were plenty of
Yeah.
like, I don't know if he's still good. Jaleel Peppers just got signed by who signed the Buffalo cut him, and
New England cut him, and he ended up.
Yeah, somebody.
Was it Buffalo? Let's see.
Oh no, maybe it was New England cut him, but somebody just picked him up, and it was just like, was that an answer for us? I don't know. I haven't really been following him, so I don't know. Pittsburgh. So I don't know if Peppers is still good. So I'm not saying we should have signed him, but because I don't know. But if he was, why weren't we in that conversation? Like, if he's still playing really well, we have some cap money, we have the space for it. I'm sure the Steelers, if the Steelers are the ones that picked him up, he wasn't asking too much. It could have been that he wasn't interested in us. Maybe we were interested, right? But it makes you scratch your head, because it's like, it makes you wonder, do they know that we have an issue at that position? Like, I hope our coaching staff is aware that we have an issue at that position, because the play at safety just is not good enough.
He was honestly pretty good last year in 370 snaps for New England. It didn't play a ton, and maybe that was it. But after, being okay his first couple of years in Cleveland and then the Giants, the last 3 years in New England, he was honestly really solid. So that was looked at as a surprise cut by New England. I don't know if it was maybe a cap thing or what, but he quickly finds a home. And it is strange, especially because you look at safety as such a position of need for this team, that they weren't in on it. But I think fair point on your side too, to say maybe he just wasn't, maybe the Jets were interested and he wasn't interested in coming to the Jets.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Nate's saying right here. I'm sure Peppers wanted to go to a winning, quote, contending team.
Yeah, no, it just makes complete sense. It's like, that's what probably happened. He probably thought Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, they're trying to make a big run. I personally don't think the Steelers are going to do much, because I mean, they certainly didn't show it. If you don't think that we're a playoff team, why would you be so high on the Steelers? We outplayed them in every aspect of that game, except for the fact that fumble, in a couple, and that they made a 59-yard field goal. Right, which is, after he made a 54-yard field goal, and we didn't go for a 2-point conversion. There was so many ways that the outcome of this game could have changed. But if you look at every other category, we outplayed this team. We won at the line of scrimmage. We on both sides of the ball. It was just, this just comes back to one of those things where we just don't know how to win yet.
No, they don't. They have to learn how to win. And one of the other things that a lot of people have brought up for negatives, we talked Gipson, we talked the lack of tackling and the struggles in the secondary. I think some people have brought up them going for 2, and I don't know how you feel about it. I personally, I thought the second time they had to go for 2, I just didn't like the play call. And the first time I was okay with them going for 2, especially with the ball moved to the 1-yard line. But how do you not just have Justin Fields under center and try to sneak it? That was my issue.
I mean, either he sneaks it or he pulls the ball back and rolls around the. I mean, you have Justin Fields. To me, it's like you have Justin Fields. You have to take advantage of that. Like it has to be. You have to be going for it in that situation because you have Justin Fields. Just doing a standard, off tackle or whatever, it just doesn't take advantage of the quarterback that you have.
No,
We watch the Eagles never not make it because they're taking advantage of, just like us, great offensive line, but also Jalen Hurts, right? That's part of the equation. I don't, you went away from something that you have, like an asset that you have, and you just acted like you were just a normal team where you didn't have a quarterback that is an outstanding athlete and, can do so many different things in that situation. He could do the sneak. He could run around to the corner, and if they get him on him, then you have a tight end sneak out. Like there's a million different plays you can call that make Justin Fields a problem for the defense. Like it's really hard to stop at the 1 yard line Justin Fields if you're using it. And we have an offensive coordinator that's perfectly capable because overall the offensive coordinator Tanner did an incredible job. It's just that one play we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's overall, Tanner Engstrand, I think by and far had a very successful debut. They had 400 yards of offense. Breece Hall was awesome. Justin Fields put up great numbers. Garrett Wilson put up numbers. Like, again, just really, I would say, exciting, stuff from that offense. I feel it feels very nitpicky. It's just unfortunate because it was in such a big spot. That 2-point conversion, if they're successful on it, changes how the rest of that game plays out.
Yeah. And it's just like because later it comes back to bite you, and there's rules in football like in our minds, like we're trained to know and understand, like that have now come into place with the 2-point conversion. And I understand it was because of the penalty, which ended up being hurting us more. Obviously, at the end, the penalty screwed us because it would have been better off if the penalty never happened and we would just kick the extra point. But what I hear a lot of people saying is you just don't go for a 2-point conversion in the first quarter. It's just, the math and the statistics say you don't do it. And I understand that the wild card here was there was a penalty and we were at the 1 yard line. But just to do just a standard 50-50 type play, like we're just going to run into their line and hope that we win that battle, just feels like, why would you do that? Like unless you had a play design you were really confident in, but they didn't use one of those plays. They just, they did nothing. It was just a standard off tackle. I don't get it.
No, that one didn't really make sense to me. Neither did the second 2-point conversion. They actually have to call a timeout first, and then out of the timeout, they run, in my opinion, a pretty low percentage play where they're trying. It wasn't exactly a goal line fade, but you're throwing a ball up for grabs for Garrett Wilson in the corner of the end zone.
I just don't understand it. You have Justin Fields. We watched that whole game. Why on those 2-point conversions? What was going on in their heads with that play calling? The fade is such a low percentage play. That's a play that when you're at the 7 yard line, right, you take one shot like that because you have Garrett Wilson, fine. But in one play, you have to get the 2 yards. You have to score. You have Justin Fields. Why are you making it that easy for them? Why are you taking him out of the equation? Keep his legs in the equation. Let him roll out because that causes chaos on the defense because the defense has to watch him so carefully. So right away, if he starts to, obviously everybody knows this. I'm saying what we all know. If he rolls out of the pocket, you're creating all kinds of potential open guys and the potential of him being able to beat one guy and score himself.
Without a doubt. We'll get into some of the positives, but first, we are brought to you by Sleeper for this stream. Think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. All you got to do, download the app, pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from either pregame or you could do it live during the game while you watch. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details.
I do my Survivor League on Sleeper.
There you go. I'm in Sleeper all the time with this sponsorship. I've been getting in the mix for these predictions. I was unsuccessful on my first one, but for my preview video tomorrow, I'll have another play that I have ready to go. But my fantasy and the Talking Jets picks are in Sleeper, so we're always using it.
Hey, do our listeners know that all super chats not only help you cut the line and guarantee that your message will be read, but that super chat will actually fund the Matt O'Leary wedding coming up in November. So he's got a very expensive wedding coming up. So just know 100%, well, after what YouTube takes, 100% of the proceeds from your super chats go directly to Matt O'Leary's wedding. So if you want to see this guy have a great traditional Long Island wedding with the big cocktail hour and the big, the big dessert table and all the good things, get your chat to the front of the line.
Look at this, Jeremy. I love the promo there. It's true. It is going right into the wedding fund right there. It's coming up quick. But some positives in this game, Jeremy. How do you not initially go to Justin Fields? Right. Like, to me, though, the play calling, awesome too. And we hit on that a little bit, but Fields coming out and putting on that performance, the thing that really impressed me the most was, we know that his rushing ability and what that could be, but there were so many times where he would climb the pocket using his legs, and instead of running it, throw it to someone right before he got to the line of scrimmage into a tight window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, I mean, I like the idea long-term of teams not knowing what he's going to do. Like, I like the threat of when he's running toward the line of scrimmage to the left, because what that does is it does set up something for the rest of the year. What it sets up is when you see Justin take off, you can't leave your man so soon. Right. And that's going to cause question for the corners and everybody covering somebody for committing to come in to get him. They have to wait until he crosses the line of scrimmage. So I like the idea of him mixing it up and everything. But there were times where he had the first down there. And when you have the first down and it's there, like, anytime you can, like, remove the throwing the ball in the air, all the risk that comes with it, incomplete pass, interception, all the negatives, that can come from it. The safest and the easiest thing to do is when the first down is there and you can run right to it, you do that. You take it.
Yeah, you got to take it. And at the end of the game, I think there was some questions whether he should have, threw it to Garrett. It ended up being incomplete on fourth down, or just tucked in and run. I think it would have been close, but I think his legs would have gotten him there, especially if he makes the linebacker miss, which you would hope that someone Justin Fields caliber would do just that. But again, his 3 touchdowns, 1 passing, the 40-yard bomb down the field to Garrett Wilson, and then the 2 rushing. He looked confident, and I don't know if he's going to do that performance for all 16 games. Like, that's probably unfair to say our expectations now are for you to do this every single week. But the biggest concern that I've had with him is consistency, because we've seen the flashes from him in the past, but he's just got to stack good performance after good performance going forward here.
Yeah, I mean, the most encouraging thing is that we weren't playing New England. This wasn't last year when we beat New England in the second game and we were all going nuts, and some people were saying, yeah, but it was New England's, and nobody really respected them. This Pittsburgh team has been, obviously the winning record, everybody knows, for 17 years now, right? They're known for physical play, like very physical games. They're known for very physical, good defenses. And so I think we were bracing ourselves. We were like, oh God, the first game he's got to go up against Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't thinking it was going to be easy. And then he has that performance. And I too am very cautious, right? Because you can look into any quarterback season and pull out some good games, or a lot of quarterbacks, right? And it's about consistency. But if this is the guy we're getting, if he can consistently be this, it might not be 100% of the games, but let's say out of the 14 to 15 games of the 17, he comes out and plays at this level, that would be it. I mean, I'm not even talking about the results. I'm talking about the way he play at this level, protecting the ball, being elusive in the pocket, and accurate, being accurate, making the passes and being able to make the reads. If he could do that, consistently, it's going to be a very special year for him, and it's going to be very exciting for us as fans, even with Buffalo coming up next and maybe getting off to a slow start.
Yeah, without a doubt. Oh, it looks like I got Green and White Militia back on the horse. That's good. He's getting in the mix on the sleeper. Love that. Or just on the Jets positive vibes. Either whichever one it is, it's good for us here. So we appreciate it. Also watch in addition to Justin Fields, because that was again really impressive. We want to see that continue. Breece Hall stood out to the both of us, and you kept turning around and saying he's back to me during the game, and it really felt like that. Did it not feel like watching 22 Breece Hall all over again?
It felt like it, and it's different in person too. Like, right, when you're seeing it in person, because I know I don't know, when I watch on TV, I'm just like, is it the blocking? Is it this? You could see, when you see it. Like you saw, because you could see the whole play develop. You could see how much faster he's moving than everybody else on the field and how fast he's accelerating. That was absolutely fantastic, the way he played. It was explosive. The play that I think really got our attention, where we were talking the most about, was the play that should have been like a 5 or 6 yard loss, and he found a way to make a yard or two out of it, just from sheer determination, just sheer fight. It was impressive. It really made me feel like we have our running back, like the guy that we thought we had his rookie year, and like the guy we were excited about. I know it's only one game, but for that one game, he looked like that guy. He looked like a premier bell cow running back.
Yeah, he was explosive and really decisive. Like, I loved where we were sitting. We were up high, but towards the middle of the field, and you get like the bird's eye view that way. And we were able to see the lanes opening up for Breece Hall, and he just punched it through without hesitation. 7 yards, 6 yards, big one for 15 yards, and just chipped away right down the field. And you have to credit the offensive line for that performance too. But going back to something, we talked about towards the middle of the show, the play calling. How about Tanner Engstrand realizing in day one that Breece Hall can catch the ball? It didn't take him 9 weeks into the season to realize that.
Yeah. Utilizing him out of the backfield and even lining him up as a receiver is absolutely necessary with Breece Hall. Otherwise, you don't deserve a job, because, again, you got to utilize people's talents. Otherwise, what's the point of having them? And I love that he's utilizing Breece Hall. I mean, watching those lanes up and watching Breece hit them and the way he accelerated through them. I mean, the guy, you just start getting pumped up. As soon as you see him pop into space, it's going to be big, even before it happens. As soon as we saw him break through that first block, when he hit that first hole, when you're there live, you could see the rest of the field. And we got up and we said, there he goes. Because we knew there's no way at that point anybody was going to be able to get him. We knew it was going to be a big 15-yard run. And that's the Breece that we were missing. That's the Breece that's just felt like it's been gone. And obviously the offensive line deserves so much credit, because the run blocking in this game was just outstanding. But also the smart and the intelligent way that they used Breece Hall, like utilizing him for his strength, like, the way, the blocking scheme and the play design that caters to what Breece Hall is good at. This is something that we have missed as a fan base the last few years, with just terrible coaching staff that just didn't know how to utilize and scheme around the talent that they had.
Jake Asman chimes in with a super chat. Thank you, Jake. Says, 2 handsome men talking Jets football. Oh, yeah, baby. Thank you, Jake Asman, for that. Right into the wedding fund, which Jake will be attending, and Jeremy as well.
It's gonna be great to hobnob with Jake Asman. Maybe I'll grab an extra Derv and say, pig in a blanket, and I'll hold it to him.
That's perfect. But I think the last line that you were saying, or towards the end of what you were just saying, is a good thing to get into next. The offensive line play in this game was really impressive. We unfortunately know the loss of Elijah Vera Tucker before the start of the season was really big. They shuffled the deck, and out of the gate, another area where I feel like, how do we not start with this guy? Armand Membu, in his first game in the NFL, goes against TJ Watt and gives up 0 sacks, no pressures, no quarterback hits. Essentially has the best game a rookie offensive lineman has had in 15 years.
Yeah, that was that brings me back to 2000. I mean, that brings us back to the 2010, obviously AFC Championship team. That's the kind of offensive line it looked like. Two bookend tackles, young though, right? Guy in his first game, guy start in his second season. You got this super young, set of tackles that having great talent, right? And that's super, super exciting because we're just in the beginning of it. And Membu was everything we hoped he could be when we saw his film, right? It was all about he's raw, but look at the talent, look at the speed and the strength. He's strong and he's quick. And, he was drafted a lot on that. He ran up the draft board, but not based on his on the field performance. He had a huge run up based on his potential, based on what we saw, like in his speed and his power. And it's a beautiful thing where game one, you're playing against a Hall of Fame player and you start to see that start to actually come out of him, right? The strength, the power was there. We saw him mush. So, Watt like literally end up on top of him and knock him on his butt. But aside from that, also just the speed when Watt tried to get around the ends and that member was able to get there and adjust and lock him up and keep him away. So it was an outstanding thing to watch. And then it's, we talk about the tackles. We cannot ignore what Joe Tippmann did against the run. There was some blocks there where Tippmann as a guard, and we said it for a long time that Tippmann would be a better guard than a center. He was born to be a guard on a running team. That's what Tippmann is. And not only just off the snap, but the way he could slide and move and get to the second level, special.
Yeah, it really was special. The both of them. And I have some thoughts on Membu, and then I'll get into Joe Tippmann too. But with Membu, when he was drafted, why I was so excited was because I thought he was going to maul people in the run game, which he did. He had a very good game with that, and his strength was the run game. What I didn't expect was for him to be as sound as a pass protector initially. I thought that was something that might take a little bit of time. Honestly, kind of like the inverse of Olu. Olu was drafted and like, this guy's just a stud in pass protection. And he ends up being a really, really good run blocker significantly earlier into his career than I think anyone ever anticipated. So shout out to Membu on that. But on Tippmann, yeah, he moves positions, which is hard enough to do, going from center over to guard. But with his size and athleticism, him getting out in space at guard is a real scary thing. And the two of them together, Membu and Tippmann, can really wreak some havoc in the run game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So super exciting stuff. And, another thing that we didn't mention that nobody's mentioned is Jeremy Ruckert blocked really well.
He was awesome.
Yeah. Like if you watch the Justin Fields touchdown run, Jeremy Ruckert blew Watt off the screen, like literally off your TV screen. Like he knocked him, like literally blocked him 7 yards, just took him out of the play completely. And that's a tight end, and I'm not going to ring the bell and say, oh, Ruckert has arrived yet. It's one game. I understand. I'm talking about one play. He made a few good plays, by the way. His PPR rating was very good. I'm sorry, PFF. His PFF score was really nice. But the other thing that we should realize, and one of the things that we were saying about Jeremy Ruckert is, can we give him a chance? Can we watch this kid play for the first time having a real offensive coaching staff and see what a real offensive coaching staff could do for him? This was Ruckert's best game since his rookie year. When the rookie year, he had a couple of good games and we were excited about him. This was his best game since his rookie year.
Yeah, it definitely was his best game since his rookie year. And that was someone we were hard on. And he came out and blocked his ass off and had 2 big catches. I know that, it's not going to stand out in the box score, just the 2 catches, but it was in traffic. It was tough plays. Extended drives. Like, he was really clutch in this game, and he deserves his flowers for it.
Yeah. Those weren't easy catches. Like a lot of times the players you make excuses. Well, the defender's hands were in there. They were in there. Yep. Those were strong hand catches, like in traffic and clutch situations. He deserves credit. People, when you get a bad taste in your mouth for a player. You don't want to then give them credit. Well, if you imagine they don't have the names on their jerseys, forget the numbers, and just imagine you're watching guys playing and being honest about what you're seeing. The guy played well. He helped us. The reason we could have won that game, if that field goal misses or we win that game, because the fumble, however, the million ways we could have won that game, you're definitely crediting and saying that Jeremy Ruckert was a big part of that.
He was. He absolutely was. Couple more super chats. I've had Jake's on for a little bit now, but it's my dream to hobnob with Jeremy at Matt's wedding. He says, I could only imagine. Get Green Bean in there too. The three will be ravishing through our cocktail hour.
Well, he knows that I'm not what Jake has learned about me from his from just watching my videos and knowing my work at the Senior Bowl is that Jake knows if there's a person passing hors d'oeuvres around, they're really the good ones that everybody wants. And everybody's trying to be all polite about it and follow the etiquette of just taking one and kind of walking away. Jake knows that I'll grab the person that's carrying that tray and bring them into the Green Bean Jake Chaos Circle.
There you go.
Have them stand there as we eat the hors d'oeuvres.
As we pick away at it.
As we pick away.
I can confirm. So I don't have the full what the past hors d'oeuvres are going to be. One of the few things where I was like, I'm putting my foot down. I want this at the wedding. During the cocktail hour, there will be a mashed potato bar at the wedding. So you go up, they scoop it, either regular, sweet potato, all the toppings you want on top of it. That is the thing that I am most excited for. And I understand it's leaning into the stereotype. The Irish guy wants his mashed potatoes, but it's my absolute favorite thing. And that's
I think the Irish guy wants something he could eat that's gluten-free.
Yeah, that too. And that too.
Man, mashed potato with like unlimited bacon pieces and
scallions, cheese. Oh yeah, baby.
Oh my God. All day, baby. All day.
Dre chimes in, says 28 touchdown island for G5, 1 down, 27 to go. 28 touchdowns. That's a bold prediction. I don't know if it gets up to 28, but where are you on what we saw from Garrett Wilson in week 1 and what kind of season you think he could have?
If he stays healthy, I think he could be somewhere between 12 and 16 touchdowns.
Oh, hell yeah.
I could see him having that double-digit, middle of the teens type of touchdown year for sure. For sure. He's the go-to target, and he's good enough that even though the other team knows he's the go-to target, he's still good enough to succeed. And that's, he's a special player. And again, it's all on Fields. If Fields can play at this level, because the wide receiver is not the one throwing the ball, right? The wide receiver, is not the one that has to read the defense and go through progressions or do whatever they got to do. All he could do is get open and just, the ball has to get to him. I think that if Fields plays at the level that he played on Sunday, then you're going to see some great things for Garrett Wilson.
So the comparison that always gets brought up, and I think it's a fair one, DJ Moore, when he played with Justin Fields in 2023, the season he had 96 catches, 1,364 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. I would sign up for that in a second for Garrett Wilson. And especially because on that year, Justin Fields threw for 16 touchdowns. As a team, the Bears passed for 19 touchdowns. So essentially half the touchdowns passing that the Bears had went to DJ Moore. I know he only had 1 in this game, but it feels like the Jets are open to letting him throw more. That might be enough to elevate the Garrett Wilson touchdown numbers up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. No, it would be. I think that we've been waiting for it. Like, it just feels like every year he gets screwed by something, and this is fine. Like this is it. We extended him, and this is it. And this is him entering his prime. These are the prime years of his career, and this is when we want to see not 1,100. This is where we want to see 1,300 to 1,500 yards. This is where we want to see 90 plus receptions. This is where I want to see double-digit touchdowns. I want him to be an impact special elite player.
Good question here from Maher. Says, who is your guy's wide receiver 2 after game 1? Do you have an answer for this, Jeremy?
Oh, I don't know. I think that you're just going to see what we saw. It's just going to be a mix. Jeremy Ruckert makes a couple of plays. Breece Hall makes a couple of plays. Tyler Johnson made a couple of plays. But who actually physically lines up over there? I guess still the same.
Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds. I mean,
That
he
would
didn't really do it. He didn't do much, did he?
No. So I pulled up the box score here. Let me share it so we could all look at it together. It was very heavily skewed towards Garrett Wilson and then Breece Hall. So targets, 9 targets, 7 catches for Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall, 4 targets, 2 catches. Pretty much everyone else with 2, right? Tyler Johnson, 2 catches. Jeremy Ruckert, 2 catches. Josh Reynolds, 2 catches.
Just balanced.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I think you obviously have your star number 1, but beyond that, you spread it around. Now, there might be games this year where we feel differently, right? Like if you're going up against a team with a really good corner and a really good defense and they take Garrett out of the game, they might really struggle passing the ball. And then you worry like, man, it'd be nice to have like a legit threat at wide receiver too. But I don't mind this approach, especially because I think Mason Taylor is going to end up with more targets. Him only having the 1 target in the game, I don't think that's going to be the case for very long.
I would love it if somewhere, just to answer that question one step further, I don't know about after game 1, but I would love it. I'm not calling for it, but if it happened naturally that Aaron Smith just won it, and by the end of the year just slid into that role, I would love that.
Yeah, he was very quiet. He didn't have any targets in this game. He was only on the field a few times offensively. But you're right. At some point this year, probably in the second half of the year, to see him elevate and, get some real input in this offense would be a really, really good sign. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I think that when he comes into the game, even without being a target, he has a role. And that role is the safeties can't stay in the box when he's in. Like they have to watch him. When Smith is on the field, it automatically forces a safety to stay back.
It does. And that will open up other things in the offense too, which is great. Nose Kills chimes in saying, having nightmares of Clemens losing contain on Josh Allen, who tosses it over Stevens' unturned head while Adams whiffs on the tackle on the wide receiver. Unfortunately, this sounds really realistic, Jeremy. I feel like we might see this on Sunday. It's something that I think Buffalo and Josh Allen could take advantage of this week.
Yeah, I mean, after watching old man Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, tried to throw the game away with the intercept, right? He's acting like he's the king again, and he's back, and he's forgetting the fact that he was gifted Stevens not catching the ball. Otherwise, he was the same old schlump last year for us that at the end of the game turned around and just threw an interception right at the defender. But anyway, that bitterness aside, I'm afraid of what Josh Allen could potentially do to this defense. If this defense has got to clean it up, because if we go in there and play the way we played against Pittsburgh with some of that sloppiness, Buffalo's going to light us up.
Yeah, because Sauce was awesome. Like that was a all-pro level game from Sauce Gardner. He can only do so much though. Yeah. And, it depends. You put him on Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir or whoever, right? But someone's going to have to go up against Brandon Stevens. And Josh Allen is known for extending plays with his legs. We saw nearly, 45%, 50% of snaps I think Michael Clemens played. He's going to play a decent amount. We saw 34 points scored against the Jets defense. I think something has to change quickly, because if it doesn't, you might see more than 34 points scored against the Jets this week. After I don't know how much of the game you saw on Sunday night, but that was just an absolute offensive masterpiece in the second half from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, look, I know they're a different rival and we don't like them and all that, but let's be honest, they're great. They are great. And he's a great quarterback, and they have a great offense, and they're super explosive. And we're going to have to clean some things up and play a lot better. And we're going to have to make it a very dirty, grinding type game. And we're going to have to do what we did against Pittsburgh. We're going to have to hold, like we had the ball about 35 minutes. We're going to have to do that again. We must keep them off the field.
Yeah, you absolutely have to, because he's going to make you pay. And, there's been a few games especially at MetLife, that the Jets have been able to create turnovers against Josh Allen, but different kind of defense, different kind of personnel. We'll see. I think it's going to be really interesting. Lou B chimes in with the super chat. Thank you, Lou. He says, Brandon Smith has good hands. Can he return? Or Cisco? That's an interesting point. I don't think either one of those guys are really under consideration right now. Do you feel differently?
If Brandon Smith was able to return, he would have been on the roster. Without, in my mind, no question. Like, if the fact that we didn't see him returning is because he's just not, he's not built that way. Whatever. It's just not his thing. They probably tried. Everybody probably tries at some point, right? They look, especially a guy trying to make a roster. So he's not going to say no. So whatever they looked at, whatever his attributes are, the determination was no, he can't. That's just an assumption. Yeah, obviously, but I can't imagine that they didn't I can't imagine that they didn't look under every stone, right? You have this guy who comes in, he's big, he gets open, he catches everything near him. He's a vacuum. How are they not? He's fighting for a roster spot. There's no way there wasn't some consideration, like, is he a potential punt returner, kickoff returner, special teams? And I'm sure that they explored it, and they're probably just not there. It's not in the skill set. It's not in everybody's skill set, unfortunately.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Dano chimes in, says, sorry, I'm late for my roasting with the eye emoji. Look, I don't know about you. Maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm not going to roast Dano today. I'm not. It's a long season. I'm glad that Breece Hall had a really good game. I think he will continue to have good games, but I want the Jets to utilize all their backs this year. And I know it wasn't, he had a touchdown, but outside the touchdown, Braylon Allen really didn't have much going on the ground, but they're going to need him at some point this year. So use two backs, and Breece Hall was the hot hand, and keep riding it until it stops working.
I took great pleasure knowing that, being on the East Coast at 7:30 in the morning when I found out Gipson was released, knowing that it was 4:30 in the morning, and sending a text knowing that that was the first thing that he was going to see when he woke up, sending Dane a text that said, "Good morning, Ginger. Xavier Gipson was released. You can smile now."
What a way to start the day. What a way to start the day with that news. Dano, we love you here, even though I definitely think and we are higher on Breece Hall than you might be. That's okay. And look at this. Dano says chaos gave me the morning wood.
That's how he woke up to a text from me saying, "Morning, Ginger. Xavier Gipson was released."
Just absolutely fantastic stuff. Quick before we get out of here, we don't necessarily have to get into score predictions or anything like that, but how about looking at it this way? What do the Jets have to do to steal a win against Buffalo on Sunday?
We have to time of possession, 38 minutes, 39 minutes, and scoring on every drive. Like, those drives turn into points every time. And then obviously we can't have the zone defense. We can't have the holes in the defense that we had. And the obvious answer, get to Josh Allen. Will McDonald's obliviate Josh Allen? Jermaine Johnson just obliviate. And of course, I think I already said holding the ball 38 to 40 minutes means, obviously, that implies that the offensive line is dominant.
I would think the offensive line has to have a great day. We saw Baltimore run all over the Buffalo Bills defense. I think the Jets would have to do that in this game. I think they need to catch the ball if the opponent throws. If Josh Allen throws you one, Stevens can't fall down. Michael Carter's got to come up with the ball. And you probably need a better special teams day. Also, no fumbles there. Got to make all the kicks.
Oh yeah. Realistically, if we won that game and said, Jeremy, what do you think happened? I'd say we were plus 2 or 3 on the turnovers.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got to create turnovers, steal the time of possession. Like you said, all the football cliches. It's not going to be easy. It's a really tough game coming up against Buffalo, but I'm excited for that one. And
me too, man.
We've reached the end of our hour here, Jeremy. It flies by like it always does, but I appreciate you joining me for another episode here, my friend.
Another great episode. Always love being here, buddy.
All right, guys, if you're new, make sure you subscribe Check out the content every Wednesday. We are live here at 3:00 for our version of Reality Check. I'm Matt O'Leary. He's Jeremy, Jets Chaos, and we'll catch you next time.